Typically, when I'm looking at taxis today in Vancouver, I'm seeing a lot of Prius Vs or Prius Vs. I'm not exactly sure what they call those, but I think a good substitute for that could be the Tesla Model Y. So let's look at a comparison of those two vehicles. So the first of the inputs is the vehicle inputs. Again, our baseline is that Model Y, and our comparison vehicle is the Prius. For cost to insure, I've actually added $1,000 to the price to insure the vehicle for the Model Y. I covered this in the first video, but electric vehicles tend to be more expensive for the purchase price or cost to replace than the internal combustion engine vehicle. If you were to crash it, an insurance company, it would cost them more to replace that vehicle. Therefore, your insurance premiums are guaranteed to be higher for the more expensive vehicle. So that is why I have tweaked those numbers a little bit and not kept them like for like. The next factor is the maintenance and repair costs. In this scenario, we look at the maintenance costs for the baseline for the electric vehicle to be about half of what they are for the comparable internal combustion engine vehicle, the Prius. And I'd say anything between half to 75% is a reasonable expectation. I think anything with the first mover with new technologies, it's probably going to take a while to really, realize that. We're starting to see some recalls and stuff like that for for electric vehicles, and that will obviously increase downtime and whatnot. But I think as the technology goes into further maturity, we're definitely going to see significant savings in the long term going electric. There's just not enough data at this point in time to kind of put at some hard numbers to that. The other thing that you're able to do with this tool is adjust the maintenance costs and the repair costs based on the age of the vehicle. Very useful in the scenario that you almost have to assume that the older a vehicle gets, the more repairs and more money you're gonna have to spend on repairs and maintenance. And that's a great tool for figuring out your optimal replacement cost. It's not going to become a deciding factor in this analysis because I'm only looking at retaining the vehicle for 3 years. But if I were to retain the vehicle for 10 or 15 years, a longer duty cycle, longer lifespan, then that's certainly a indicator that I would want to adjust, or a factor I would want to adjust. So let's have a look at the results tab now. So here we are at the results tab. What I really like about the results tab is that Atlas Policy, instead of giving you a lump sum figure, how much you're going to save over the life of the vehicle, it gives you a cost per kilometer, which really kind of makes a lot of sense when we're looking at how much our vehicles are costing us. So in this comparison, I can see that the Tesla Model Y long-range all-wheel drive is going to cost us about 24 cents per kilometer versus the Prius, which is costing us about 33 cents per kilometer. What are the major differences are going to be highlighted in this chart right here. In terms of asset cost, we're seeing a huge increase. I think that's almost double or triple. I guess it's double. For depreciation, makes sense. The vehicle is twice as expensive. Where we're seeing a huge savings though, however, is in the fuel. We're saving a lot of money on fuel by going electric. We're also seeing some savings in the maintenance and repair segment, and where we're seeing a higher cost is in the insurance. And again, looking at the numbers that I put in the inputs tab, these results only make sense. They've done the math for us here now. And here we have the baseline is 3.9% more expensive than the comparison vehicle. So the next section in the results tab is the social benefit. The first chart is the well-to-wheel CO2 fuel emissions. And when we compare these two things like for like, we find that the Tesla Model Y has a lower emission impact than the Toyota. Now, CO2 is not our only greenhouse gas. There's also NOx, SOx, and parts per million that we want to look at. And if you're looking for emission factors, I would recommend BC's guidance on that. I covered that already in the first video, so I'm not going to dwell on it. but it's a great resource for us. Finally, we have a cash flow summary. Now, I only did a 3-year comparison here, so let's take a look. Year 1, of course, we're purchasing the vehicle, or sorry, year 0, we're purchasing the vehicle. Then we have our year 1 operational year 2, and in year 3 we see a surplus. Why do we see a surplus? Well, we sold the vehicle for some cash, and that is the end of life. So we have positive cash flow at the end of the 3rd year.
If you want to see more of this conversation, get in touch with us at fleets@pluginbc.ca, and we will direct you to the entire video and also be happy to answer any additional questions you may have.